I just need that plectrum that I was using before.
Right, there you go.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. How are you doing? It's been a while. Welcome back. I'm Andy. This is Four Priests Brewery. We're a small family-run brewery in Middlewich in Cheshire, making mostly cask ales for consumption in local pubs, bars and restaurants. And we recently opened our own little tap room space here, which is proving remarkably successful. I knew it would do okay, but we've built up a tremendously loyal following, and I thank every single customer that comes in. Great conversation, not a pub. We've created something a bit different here, I think, and customers seem to like it, so we'll keep doing it. But we've been open every single weekend in August. It was a bit of a trial for us, just to see if people would come and if they'd come back, and they do. And it's got to a point where I can actually start to pay some staff to help me out a little bit. And that's what's happening today. I'm going to brew. It's about 8 o'clock on Bank Holiday Monday morning, August. I'm going to brew. Elliot is coming in, and Ian, who I'm not sure if you've seen Ian before. Ian was in one of the videos that we did when we were doing the ginger beard. But we'll talk about that later. I'm now searching through this pallet of grain which arrived a few days ago, looking for my Maris Otter, because today we're making our best bitter, Moston Dragon. And as is always the case, if you've ever unloaded a pallet, what you want is at the bottom. Right at the bottom. So on the top was all the stuff that I don't need, including 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sacks for my friend around the corner at Tay Brew Co, who tagged a few bits and bobs onto our order, which is fine. We don't mind doing that. Helps us reach the pallet minimum. Then a load of extra pale malt, which I don't need to brew with till next week. And then here we are at the bottom with the Maris Otter. And that is 1 for Tay. And for today, 5 for me. Right, before we start the brewing, I've got a bit of housekeeping. I had a little accident. And you know I always tell you everything, guys. But you know my lethal cask washer contraption with the spinny ball on the top? Well, it was full of a caustic solution we used to blast the inside of the casks to get all the gunk out. And because I made it, I didn't include any particular safety features to stop you turning it on when there's no cask on it. You've just got to have your wits about you. And guess who didn't have his wits about him? And I didn't film it, because I've not been filming much lately, but the switch foot's over here, and the nozzle's here. So I switched it on, turned around, and got absolutely drenched in this caustic solution, and it burns a bit. So thankfully the cameras weren't running, because I basically stripped off, and Elliot hosed me down with the hose pipe and copious amounts of peracetic acid from the sprayer to neutralise it. And I just completely doused myself. But I was so lucky, I got a tiny bit in the corner of my eyelid, not in my eyes. And it stung like hell for a few hours. But we just drenched it. We used the full, get some of this, guys, if you're messing with chemicals, eye wash. We used a whole bottle, in fact more, bottle and a half of eye wash. Just drenched it just in case. But lucky. The stupid thing about it is I've got all the right gear, haven't I? I've got the face visor. I've got the technical capability to make a little micro switch action on it to stop you turning it on when there's nothing on the top. So I need to slow down a bit and think about some of this stuff instead of just doing it. It was all right as a test. But as soon as we started putting chemicals in, should have added those features. So I'm going to do that soon. and I'll share it with you when I do it. But yeah, a bit dodgy. And you can see it up the windows. That's what I'm doing now, just getting it off the windows. It comes out fast as well. I mean, it's the full force of that pump because it needs to really get to all the grime inside the casks. So just a quick squeegee to make the floor look nice before we start. Get any bits and bobs off, and then we'll crack on. We're going to do Moston Dragon, as I said a minute ago. That's our number 2 selling beer. Only just now behind Murgy Strait in terms of sales to trade. It's really picked up over the summer, which I was sort of surprised at. I thought the hoppier pale would do better through the summer months, but no, the bitter's good. And I think that's probably down to the types of establishments that we're serving more of these days, which are decent quality food places that celebrate, you know, and use local ingredients for all the food that they serve, and want to follow that theme through with locally produced drinks as well. So they'll stock a local gin and local rums and spiced spirits, for example. But a local beer fits the bill perfectly. And as you know, we're very limited around here for other breweries, only 1 or 2. So we've done quite well in these places now. Yeah, so the Moston Dragon's really picked up. And I'm running out. I've got 5 casks left. I'm probably going to have to reserve those for the King's Lock because they're chewing through a couple every week at the moment. It's been 3 a week recently, so I'm probably a bit too low on stock now. But Jack was in yesterday and he says it's still busy down there, so I thought I'd get this brew on now rather than trying to squeeze it in one night in the week as I've done previously. So today, Moston Dragon. So what do we need? 120 kilos of Maris Otter, 7 kilos of Crystal 240, and 4 kilos of Caramalt, all from Crisp, where we buy all of our grain from. We'll get that in as we start to add the mash liquor. We're going to use the full tank. All the recipes have now been rejigged, so I use the full tank every time, which gives me a maximum possible amount of volume in the tanks at the end, without having to mess around heating extra bits of water and whatnot. So these will give us about 818 litres into the fermenter. So 1,000 litres. We're going to use about half of it for the mash. It's a single temperature infusion at about 68 to 69 degrees for 1 hour. After the hour, we'll start the sparge and transfer at the same time. So we'll shower the grain and take the wort out into the copper, where we'll boil it for an hour, adding East Kent Golding hops and Fuggle hops at the beginning and some Styrian Golding at the end. After that, drop the temperature down. I mean, subject to the groundwater temperature, could take a while, but we'll transfer into the fermenter, get some yeast in, get the lid on, and let her rip for a week or so. At which point I can clean down and get into the brewery side where Ian and Elliot will be taking care of the customers.
Try to peel me off the pavement. Try to insinuate sometimes I'm in danger of going too far. Say what I like to go, tea and toast. Get your hand off my thigh. The car turning me and say, you're 19 forever, pull yourself together. I know it seems strange, but things did change. Older woman and ever so slightly younger man. Well, God bless the band.
So we've no fancy gadgets like hydrators here. What we're doing is adding the malt and the liquor simultaneously, a bag at a time. As we get to the right sort of thickness to add another one, we throw it in. It's not an ideal setup, to be honest. And you may have seen how I used to do it, which is to get all the grain in and then underlet. That works, but it's physically hard work breaking up the raft of malt and sinking it all. We never leave any dough balls, but it's hard graft, and I could do with something better.
Said you're not 19 forever, for yourself together.
Right, I'm glad I spotted this. Got 2 in so far. Maris Otter. Clear choice pale. Don't want that one. Maris Otter. Right. You'll notice as well on these bags there's a serial number. Yeah. SS30924, SS30924. Same SS30924. These are all for the same batch, so it should be identical. Yeah, 30924 and 30924. And that serves 2 purposes for us. One is to provide us with the ingredient traceability. If ever Crisp were to contact us and say there's a problem with the batch, that serial number follows the beer all the way through into the cask and into the pub. So we immediately know in the stock that we have which beers contain this batch of grain, and we know if we've shipped it to a pub, which pubs have got those casks. So if ever we need to do a recall for any reason, it's easily traceable. Secondly, the barley's a natural product, so the characteristics can change from harvest to harvest. So it's actually important that we refer to the serial number and the data sheet that comes from Crisp, which gives us all of the characteristics in terms of, well, I'll show you one. I'll put one on the screen, let you have a look. So everything you've ever wanted to know about what's inside a bit of barley is on there. And we can use some of that data to help us if we're getting, problems with yield, efficiency, or anything else. We can see if anything is changing from one delivery to the next. Fortunately, with Crisp, it's incredibly consistent, we found. And once we've nailed a recipe and we know what we're going to get, or we experience what we're going to get, as long as we reproduce that recipe each time, it's very, very rarely any different in terms of what we get out of the other end. Nearly done with this now. I've just stopped the pump because we're getting reasonably full. I don't want to overshoot the temperature too much, so that we do hit the sweet spot in terms of alpha, beta, and we want it right at 68.5 to 69%. If I leave this running too long, we'll tip over into 69, 70, 70, 71. And the characteristic of the beer might change because we're going to be getting more alpha and less beta. And that means a less fermentable wort slightly and a bit more sweetness, which would be fine. But it's not what this beer has come to be. It needs to be the same. I think we've knocked all the bits out of that now, all the balls. We've dealt with the balls. I can't see any. Let me get my thermomobulator. So, there's a little ball there. That's where we are. It's a bit thinner on the top, but it's not a thick mash. Never is here. Again, consistency. Same every time. But if we chuck in the, I'll just turn it on first. We will chuck in the thermometer. It's had a good stir, but I'll give it a few readings around and about the place. So we're currently in the middle-ish, about in the middle, and we're at 67.56. Is it stopping there? 67.6. The furthest point away from where the water goes in, 67.7. Over where we've been adding the water might be a little bit warmer because the tank will have soaked up a little bit of heat. No, it's the same, 67.7. So we definitely need a bit more hot in there. The hot water's currently 76.6. So if we just start that running again, actually, what we do first, so we don't blow up any hoses. Let's turn on the valve. Then we press the on button. And we'll add a bit more hot. So obviously we're 67.7-ish. That water's going in at 76. So I'm just going to give it 30 seconds, I think. And then we'll give it another stir, check the temperature again, and then if she's right, we'll get the lid on. Yeah, this probe, I could do with the one with a longer probe, I think. It's all right for general day-to-day bits and bobs, but with a longer probe I can get really deep into the mash tun with it and get some temperatures a bit lower down. Or just add a thermal well or two with it, to it maybe. Do it that way. Oh, I forgot also, there's some water treatments in this as well. Not much. The water around here is pretty empty. There's not a lot going on in it. So we don't need to add a great deal. But for me, and your mileage will certainly vary, there's about 40 grams of Epsom salt and about 40 grams of gypsum. 68.7 over here. We've got 68.45, 6, 68.6, 68.6, 68.6. Good with that. Right, lid on. Right, while the mash does its thing, we've got to get this tank cleaned. It's been draining overnight. I think we've got all of the muck and yeast out now. Looking at the state of that bucket, looks good. So we've got to get in there, give it a bit of a pressure wash. Then we'll get some caustic in there, the pump doing the clean in place process over the next 40 minutes or so. And we can then give it a quick sanitize and get the beer in, or get the wort in, sorry. Get the lingo right. And I've just had a concerned message from Slurpy Dave, who says, I haven't seen any videos from you lately. I bet you're busy in the tap room. Dave was good enough to drop me a bottle of, have I still got it, or did I drink it? I think I drank it. I did, I drank it with Steve. Of Bushy's TT Ale. Oh, very nice it was. I'd had a hard day. It was a real thirst quencher, so thanks for sending that over, mate. I appreciate it. And get yourself over next time. He sent his production team, didn't come himself. He's too important to come here, Slurpy Dave. This is what I've fished out the bottom. In the bottom of this tank, there's like a tapering channel that runs out to the port that you can just see tipping into the bucket on the front, and obviously all the yeast will collect in there if we're not careful. It's a slightly dished bottom, the fermenter, and what we want is to not take the yeast, so we slide that into it. It's a stainless steel mandrel bend, which we've cut to the right height, so the yeast typically comes to about there, and we're drawing the clean beer from above and leaving the yeast below. We don't need to do that so much, just if we can get it a little bit brighter, there's a little less crap in the casks. Enough for secondary fermentation if we need, but not enough to need a long time to settle out. And I try and drop that into every brew. If I don't get it into every tank, then we have the option to draw from the port above it. But between this port and the bottom one, it's 80 litres. So that's quite a lot of waste. We have been known to tip the tank forwards as well to get out another cask, but we're still left with about 40 to 50 litres in the bottom, which isn't massive in the scheme of things, but you know, I'm tight. Right, next up, let's get this yeasty bucket out of the way. Over there, and then we we now will transfer to the holy bucket, which is a bucket with a hole. And in the hole, I've put a little bit of John Guest there. Let's try and suspend it correctly. And then we can connect this contraption to it and drop that straight in the channel drain. This is just for where it's just water really now. We're pressure washing the dirt off the inside of the tank. And we'll drop it straight into the gully. Actually, what I'm going to use is this. A DIN to RJT doofer. And that'll just give us a bit more length. It's just the surface muck removed. But obviously we need to do better than that, because it needs to be, you know, hygienic and as sanitary as we can make it in there. What I did notice was a little bit of muck in these holes when I was looking in through the top, so we'll just get that blasted through as well, just to get any physical debris out. Right, just setting up the pump. We have our 1 inch RJT spanner and the world's most stupidest spanner. This DIN lock ring needs to be tight. That's not the right way either. See what I mean? Absolute nonsense, innit? Righty, we've got 18 minutes left on the mash and the cleaning place is running on the tank. That's caustic solution going through at high temperature at the moment, blasting round out the bottom, in through the spray ball at the top, and really dissolving all of that organic grime that we had from the ginger beard. It was pretty tidy in there actually when I was in it. We had a scum line about here, which is where the top of the work was, and the krausen sort of sticks to the side and gives you this sort of brown scummy ring. So I washed most of that off with the hose, but this caustic will be getting rid of the rest of it and any remains, and making it nice and sparkly inside. We do have to thoroughly rinse that after we've finished, and then it gets a treatment with peracetic acid as well to sanitize the inside of it, and we should be ready to go then. So with 18 minutes left, I'm going to start to set up the sparge mechanism so that we're ready on the hour to start recirculating, and then we can begin to transfer then. Right, we're set up, so shortly we'll open that. It will drain all the crud from the bottom of the mash tun, bits that have worked their way through the false bottom, and then we'll start to get clear work through. We can leave the bits in there, or fish this out, tip it, and use a clean one. I do that sometimes if it's getting a little bit full. There's not normally that much though. And out of there we go into the pump, and out of the pump for a few minutes we just circulate back into the mash tun until we're nice and clean, and then we'll transfer and drop it into the top of that. And that never happens, but it's happened today. Right, let's have a little look what's going on. Is it this that's blocked? No, that'll be too easy. Weird. Don't understand. Don't get it. Oh. Right, we've recovered that little situation. What had happened, as I mentioned before, the false bottom, which is like a perforated sheet, it does let some bits of grain through, and if enough get through, they're going to clog, and that's what happened. It's clogged in the pipe. So I was using a very thin bore beer hose to try and poke it through, so I could only open the tap a little bit, just in case it did dislodge. Then there wouldn't be a jet of beer everywhere, and unfortunately it wasn't big enough, so I've gone for the next size up, 3/8, which did dislodge it, but obviously the inevitable happened. Anyway, no harm done, it's all good. We're now transferring. We need to get that sparge on as well. There we go. Nice little sparge action too. We've gone back to the spray ball rather than the rotating arm, because it is working. But I would like to get a stainless arm in future, because it just gives a bit more even distribution. But so far, so good. We've got probably a third of the liquid left to go, the liquor. The tank is now above the heating element, so we can probably get that on. Just give it another minute. And then it's just a matter of balancing the underback to make sure we're not drying the pump or overflowing the bucket. So we've got to watch this bit like a hawk, really. The clean of the tank's now finished, so we're going to give that a hose off as well in a second. Elliot's just arrived. This is the state of the tap room pre-opening. So all the tables from outside are inside, upside down, all the lights are off, everything's switched off and turned down. And Elliot's about to set up outside and get everything organised. Right, all transferred now into the copper. The copper's up to temperature, 102 degrees. As soon as it hit the boil, I threw in the first 2 hops, which is the East Kent Golding at 0.8 kilos plus 1 kilo of Fuggle. And that will do its boil thing for the next hour, at which point we'll transfer through the heat exchanger and into the tank. So Elliot is digging out the mash tun. Oh, there's a bit more. Into these boxes, then they're off to the farmer. Currently we've finished our boil and transferring out. So basically we come out of that valve there, down the pipe, into the pump, out of the pump, into the heat exchanger, out of the heat exchanger, into the tank. And the water that's feeding the heat exchanger ends up back in the HLT, ready for next time. I'm just about to check the temperature of the incoming wort into the tank, because obviously it's exiting the copper at 102-ish, 100 degrees or thereabouts, and we want it in here at, well, I'll need it down 18 really for the majority of the fermentation, but I'll be happy with it a little bit warmer going in right now. We're going in at 20.1 degrees, which I'm entirely happy with. It's not coming out very quick, but I might tweak it up a little bit, because once we add the yeast, there's a lag for a little while. We don't want to be too high, so I'm just going to turn that up a little bit more. Just creeping up a little bit. We'll leave it at that. We'll just come back and check it in 5 or 10 minutes, because we can also, and will also, put the cooling jacket on with the glycol to ensure it stays at 18. In fact, I'm going to put that on now, I think.
So that says we're currently at 23.7 in that tank, although the thermal well's nowhere near it. It's aiming for 4, we don't want that now. That was when we were doing the crash cool previously. So we'll set that temperature now. I'll stick it up at 18 because that's where I'm going to want it for the fermentation. Sorry if that's flickering, by the way, it's the frequency of the LED thing, LCD display. Or LED display, actually. I could change the refresh rate on this camera, but I'll come past it now. But for the times I do this, doesn't really matter. There you go, 18. Set that. Okay. So that's going to start the glycol around the tank jacket anyway. So even if we're going in at 21 or 22, by the time fermentation kicks off, we'll be bang on where we need to be. We'll give you a little look around the building while we wait for that temperature to normalise and just show you what's going on. We've got a few customers in. Hello, doggy. Hello. It's all right, yeah, thank you. Hi, Ian, how are you? Yeah. Take a little look around. We've got a reasonably full house. Hello, Sarah. Hello. So we've got a reasonably full house. Typically, about 3 o'clock on a Sunday, it starts to kick off. We've got some King's Lock regulars in, and we've got an assortment of friends, and well, everyone's a friend here now, enjoying our delightful beers and having a great old time. Inside, if you saw, we've probably got slightly fewer people because the sun's shining. It's quite a nice day today, so it's all looking good. It's nice to see other people working hard behind the bar. Elliot's doing a grand job, Ian's doing a grand job too, actually. Considering he's never worked here before, well, he did briefly. He's done a shift before, but he's worked out where everything is right away. On top of his game. Experienced. He knows his stuff. Let's give you a little look at the back bar here. Ian, I'm going to keep out of Ian's way while he dispenses the beverages. But what we've got is the 3 hand pulls, Get Lucky. Currently, this will change as depending on what we've got, but currently we're on Get Lucky, Moston Dragon in the middle, Murgy Straight. We put on a couple of casks of each, or we prepare a couple of casks of each at the weekend. We usually get through 1.5 or 1 and a bit more. And if we've got long weekends like this, it makes a lot more sense. You know, clearly if the beer's still on a Sunday night, we're unlikely to be able to resuscitate it on Friday of the following week. It's possible with cask breathers and things, but at the moment we're just taking a bit of a hit on any partial casks that are left, and I'm taking a bit home to drink as well, but don't tell HMRC. On the taps, we've got cross stout because I ran out of cask stout, didn't I? Didn't plan that very well. Next to that, Lucas, which is a lager from Thornbridge, Bad Knee from Tay Bruco, and Lily's berries and cherries. And the reason for those, clearly we want to sell our own beer, that's what we're here for, but we do have groups, as you can see. We've got groups of people coming in, and there's often a lager drinker in the group or a cider drinker in the group, and we really need something to cater to everybody. We don't want the whole group leaving just because, you know, one of them can't get a drink. So hence we've got a lager and a fruity cider on. Bad Knee I alternate with Sean's Cruise Control. Sean, who you've perhaps seen in a video in recent times, Sean makes a hazy IPA. Bad Knee is the same. It's a hazy, so we alternate between those two. And then we've got a few other bits and pieces. We've got some cans. That's the entire Four Priests can stock right now. As I said earlier, don't get too excited on the website because you're not likely to find very much. We've also been selling this Middlewich 3 Locks gin, brewed by our friends at Winding River Distillery, and we had 6 bottles. That's all that's left, 1 bottle, and there's not much in that. I've just ordered a quick restock on that with a bit of tonic. We also do a gin fizz with that as well, using some spirits from Gangplank here, raspberry and mint, and we've just got in stock some spirits from Filthy Gorgeous. These are all local businesses and friends of the brewery. Filthy Gorgeous rum, that's a raspberry rose rum, and we've also got this one. It's mega. This is mega. This is going to be a winter drink at the brewery, I think. Chocolate orange rum. Oh my, dark rum. Very Jaffa cakey. Very nice. And we're serving drinks of those. We're also, as you can see from the stock we've got, we're also selling them. People are like, oh, I'll take a whole bottle of that. So that's working out quite well as well. We've got just enough glasses, but we do keep having to have frenzied runs at the glass washer next door. Anyway, I've been speaking far too much. I'm going to wander around and see who's still here. And as you'll see, we've become a dog walker friendly establishment, because we're always surrounded with dogs, because we love dogs. We have free biscuits for the dogs, free crisps for the owners, and a water bowl. You know Trampus by now. Here he is, the legend, the man, the legend. As I said before, the 10% discount code for September, you've got to say it at the bar where you don't get your discount, is Trampus the bunny rabbit. I'm just recording a video. Well, you can be on it now. Give the camera a wave on your way out. That's the hardest she's worked since I started the brewery. I'd say that's about a third full. It is slow today. The speed that we can put the wort in at 22 degrees is dependent on the groundwater temperature for the water that's going through the heat exchanger. And today, it's quite a nice day. I'm guessing the water's probably 15 degrees or so. In the depths of winter, when the water's 3, 4, 5 degrees, we cool down a lot quicker, we can transfer quicker and get home quicker. But not today, unfortunately. So while that's going in, I'm going to, as we know, it's been at about 22 the whole time, I'm going to get the yeast in, and I won't forget then. This is the yeast for Moston Dragon SO4. You can try other yeasts, it doesn't make any difference. English ale yeast, this is lovely stuff. It does the job, goes off quick, finishes clean, and I love it. There are generics which are considerably cheaper, and I've used those too. Customers have not noticed the difference, but I have. The attenuation from this is exactly the same every time you use it. As long as everything else is the same, it just works, and you can predict what your ABV is going to be immediately. With some of the generics that we've been using, I won't mention the company names, very reputable companies, it's a bit hit and miss, and I'm not changing anything my side. All my temps are the same, everything's the same. Fermentation temperature, mash temperature, everything. I don't change a thing. And I get 2-3% attenuation swing on their yeast. I don't get that with SO4, it just works. So I'm sticking with that now, for the sake of whatever it is, 3 or 4 quid per 500 gram brick more, worth it. Not to have to battle with the numbers. I know what I need to do, check the gravity. Let's have a look. Right, we need to do OG sample. So one sanitized jug, I'm just gonna get under there. I'm going to collect just a little bit less than a litre is what we need. That'll do. And we'll put it in the trial jar. If I can find my trial jar, there it is. The yeast's in, we'll get the lid on, and we'll let it do its thing over the next few days. Elliot's just out dropping the grain with Farmer Johnny. He'll be back in a minute, and the tap room's buzzing. Let's have a look. Having a little wander. Mostly I want to try and film people specifically, because nobody likes to be filmed while they're having a beer, do they? But we're just going to have a little wander, like before, and see what's going on out there. Trampus is still going. The musical genius that he is. He loves it, doesn't he? He should be on Britain's Got Talent.
I'm not sure actually what that's doing.
He's not topless. I spy with my bionic eye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. About 20 customers out there. Bit of competition in the tin shed. I guess the beer must be better or something. Right, the overflow is overflowing. What that means is the heat exchanger water, which has been through there, cooled the beer down and back into the tank. We've now reached the limits of the tank. This is going to happen in the summer, I'm afraid. What we do, or have been doing, is using this hot water because it's coming out at 62 degrees. What we've been using it for is an opportunity to clean stuff. So we're going to do that. Get some bits and bobs in there to soak. If I can get the water in the right place. Get some bits and bobs in there to soak. And we've additionally, now the level in the tank has risen above the thermocouple, thermoprobe, thermowell thingy bob. And it's the middle one here, 18.5 against the target of 18 degrees. So pretty much bang on. I like it. So I'm comfortable just to leave that now while we wash up a bit and start the clean-up. Mash tun's empty, but minging. Give that a pressure wash and get ready for a bit of a caustic wash down as well a bit later. It's ready for one. And now the clean-up begins. So this is what the hops look like when they come out of the copper. Heavy, gloopy, and a lot of them. You homebrewers will know what a pain it is when you've put a couple of ounces in. But try, what's in that? 1, 2, try 3 kilos. The smell is amazing, I've got to say. But they are a bit of a pain in the arse. So what we do, just empty the bags out. These actually go, well, it depends, but these usually go to Johnny, and somebody he knows composts them. That's one bag. I don't know what he uses them for exactly, but they'll be used, which is the main thing. I just don't want to have to chuck them. It just seems like such a waste. If someone can get some value from it, then good.